The Indian workforce is strong but needs to become stronger with respect to their financial understanding. With each passing year, India's workforce is incessantly on the rise. With over 12 million youth joining the job brigade every year, their everyday exposure is primarily limited specifically to their job profiles, thus ignoring their monthly chances of adding additional value to their earnings.
Financial awareness is a critical function. It's a life skill besides being a career skill as such. It is important for everybody to know how the money, whatever money, everybody is earning money with a huge amount of difficulty. They put in a lot of effort to earn whatever they are earning. It is critical that they know how to preserve it, conserve it, grow it, so that it will be with them when it is required to be with them.
An individual's earnings or savings are close to his or her heart. Managing one's monetary finances is often a tedious task unless taken care of wisely with the right attitude.
Frankly speaking, in India, the financial literacy is very, very poor. And this poor financial literacy is causing a big hole in the pocket of a small investor in particular.
If you look at last decade and a half, the income levels have gone up phenomenal. So youngsters are earning much more than what their parents were earning. Spending avenues have gone up. Obviously, they have access to global facilities, services, products, services. Investment options have gone up, and we have more and more products coming. We have choices. We can invest globally. And so are the loan avenues in terms of borrowing. Having said that, while this has gone up, the actual management of money is not taught anywhere. So they have more options, they have more choices, but they don't know how to handle that.
The working class is unaware about the various options laid down for them, those that can empower them with the ability to understand the entire world of finance, investments and wealth management. Adding to their limited understanding are the working lifestyles of individuals that have also changed for the worse. Growing workloads and busy schedules have left people to worry less about the future of their finances and more on their daily activities.
Wealth management is a continuous process. Wealth management is not a discrete process, it's a continuous process of actually managing your money such that you increase the probability of your financial well-being in years to come. Unfortunately, our society measures success from the financial well-being. So I personally think for you to actually gain respect in the society, you need to manage your finances properly, right? And make sure that you never fall into a debt trap. So what happens is anybody who does not do right amount and right methods of wealth management are not followed, he is more prone to getting into a debt trap, which can actually cascade into a blow up more than you can imagine.
Taking into account the fact that a major part of the working population is mainly within the age group of 15 to 59, a sizable chunk is still unaware about managing their own finances end to end, let alone figuring out their own 16A formalities.
In India, we are the largest working population. The young working population is one of the largest in the world, and we are also growing economy. So we would see huge talent, being incorporated into the industry. And all specialized fields. We have different fields, people expertising in different fields. You have somebody who's an engineer, you have somebody who's into designing. Well, these are specialized fields. And the central focal point of all these occupations is money eventually. So there has to be some kind of knowledge. There has to be basic knowledge. We're not saying you need to be experts in managing money, but you need to have a good sense of knowing money, knowing finance, and then managing it. You need not be an expert, but there has to be some basic knowledge which you need to have, so that you can basically use money and take the benefits of money.
As we interact with some of the youngsters who are just starting their careers, we realize that there is huge amount of basic lack of information. They're possibly not tuned to looking at money in different ways other than possibly as a credit card, where they can just go and buy a bike or a new mobile phone or whatever which is coming into the market. So we have seen a significant amount of gap in that, and there's very general lack of understanding of how to create a long-term wealth for themselves.
The workforce is also unaware about the benefits, be it long-term or short-term, and further add to their plight of uninformed financial knowledge. Irrespective of initiatives organized by several organizations, most employees often tend to go astray due to heavy jargons that financial advisors often use while interacting with them. This pushes them further away, causing them to depend on family members or spouses to do the needful and eventually widening a knowledge gap.
All honesty, I'm not an investment person at all, but I've just been driven by family. In terms of family, I mean, my mother has always been right from the beginning very interested in bonds and, you know, getting me funds. And so I, now that, like, you know, I'm 24 and I'm at that age where, you know, I look back and of course her investments have been worth it. So for me, now that I've started working, that's a step that I need to take in terms of investing and not putting all my eggs in one basket and investing wisely.
I get my advice from my friends and my family. It also depends on the current economic situation. If the market is upbeat, then I like to invest. If the market is probably slow, sluggish and not so promising, then I mean obviously I'm not an expert on investment. So I want to be very thoughtful of the money that I invest. So I generally don't invest at that point in time.
There are, you know, clearly two sets of people. One set who is really very evolved, and they are very well read. There's a lot of information available, so they can do their own research, and you know, they can even come back in debate with professionals as to, you know, which is the right investment avenue, and, you know, how do you go about your investments and managing your money. Of course, the other set is, you know, a lot of the time you say, okay, my parents are doing it extremely well, so, you know, I hide behind that and say, yeah, they'll take care of my money, and I go back to them and say, you know, this is my money that I have and you take care of everything.
The general investment trend, especially among the youth, is that they are careless, not at all interested. Half of them will say, my dad or my mom, he is taking care of my investments.
There is a growing concern that financial knowledge spread across the country is limited to certain specific academic courses. This limitation needs to be addressed. Working professionals are on the rise, and with each rise in percentage, they have to be financially educated, at least to ensure a much more secure future.
We say we have 100% literacy in India, but when it comes to financial literacy, we have just around 10% financial literacy. You know, in college and in college education, we study about economics, we study about other things, but hardly we see a financial literacy or education being imparted in college. People are not aware how to manage their money. They are never being told that way, you know, right in class 5th and 6th standard. So if this can be incorporated in the syllabus, that how to manage your money well, you know, how to save, how to plan for your investments, this can go a long way in planning for your finances.
Also, many a times people get confused between financial planning, wealth management and investments, not knowing that the latter is an umbrella concept featuring the rest.
Investment for me would be something wherein I take some goods or probably some money that is kept aside, and that would have a futuristic approach that in future will be a wealth for me, it will create income for me, it will benefit me.
I do know about some financial products, like there are mutual funds and there are insurance products, as well as you can go into maybe real estate as well, and gold is also another option apart from the usual FDs which are there.
Most importantly, when we interact with people who've just joined the workforce, or it's their first job and they're probably in the, say, 100 days of their employment, you know, when you talk about financial planning to them, there is a sense of aversion where they feel financial planning only means investing. Well, financial planning does not mean only investing. Financial planning just means that you are able to manage your finances. So whatever income that you're generating, there has to be an adequate amount allocated towards expenditure, and then there has to be some amount of knowledge and some thought needs to be given for savings.
Financial planning helps investors to achieve their financial goals. Sometimes it is misunderstood as investment planning. Investment planning is a part of financial planning, but when we talk about financial planning, it starts with the understanding where you stand today and where you want to go.
Addressing the issue of this widening knowledge gap is India's premier stock exchange, the National Stock Exchange of India. This powerful entity is currently playing a more than positive role in ensuring that financial knowledge is well ingrained in scholastic curriculums across the country. This being said, NSE's initiatives cater to various age groups, starting from students at secondary levels to college students and even young professionals in the working world.
As an exchange, we have always believed that awareness, education is the basis on which any product or service has to be built. First, they need to understand importance of savings, and they also need to know where to go for the right kind of help. So for that, you need to really tell them about the overall structure of the markets, what products are available, how they can use it, and where they should go to get the help, because each and every individual may not have the kind of time or effort, knowledge to really understand the product's complexities and do the investment directly. At least they should have the basic understanding so that they can go to the right places to get the help.
With the economic development and change in the Indian population, we find more youngsters coming into the investment area, and therefore we have to approach them where they work. We have taken multiple approaches in this. We go through invest education programs, invest awareness programs. In the induction programs at their corporate offices, we give the investment knowledge, and also we use a lot of printed literature, printed media, electronic media to reach them.
By orchestrating a series of events, NSE acts as a catalyst to imbibe financial knowledge among youngsters, enabling them to prepare young minds to live as independent consumers by teaching personal finance concepts in schools and colleges, develop human resources having right skills and expertise to help enhance quality intermediation in the financial markets, guide young investors to take informed decisions relating to the securities market.
National Stock Exchange is the largest exchange in the country, and it is the engine of the capital markets. So it has a major responsibility to bring entire India together as a financial inclusion, and to ensure that a lot of people can create wealth by investing in capital markets over a longer period of time.
NSE endeavors to spread financial literacy by empowering India's young and by creating awareness and knowledge on finance.
When you're talking about workforce and salaried people, I definitely think the employer can, play a very key role. They can, at the time of induction itself, if they are able to add in, some bit on tax planning, some bit on investments, on financial planning, and basically financial awareness, I think that will go a long way. Then the second is, you need to have interest from your own side. There's a lot of information which is available. So as you start off working, go back and look at various financial portals. There are a lot of blogs which you can use. You can see what other people's experiences are, and slowly start off your investment journey.
They should take out some time from their 24 hours, 24/7, not just work alone. 24/7, 90% work, okay, family, holiday, work, etc., okay. But 10% if you are able to devote just 10% time in whole week or whole month, you are able to have financial planning of your own, and much of it can be done of your own without any expenditure. So the young youth in particular, I would say, should watch different websites of different organizations making the investment. Also see the SEBI rules, guidelines, NSE rules, guidelines and precautions which are available to the investors.
Thus, to generate more and better financial knowledge among young India, NSE has developed a thought-provoking platform called NSE Financial Wizard, or popularly called NSE FinWiz, where specialists from the financial world visit some of the top companies across the country, bringing in their expert views to coach young professionals on the nitty-gritties of financial management.
Putting your goals and writing them down is the most important thing that you can do for your financial plan.
FinWiz is one of the initiatives within the overall NSE Life initiative. It is again essentially focused on people who are just getting into the corporate life. They started earning, they're the entrance into the corporate life, they've got into their work, they started earning money, and they have some possibly spare money to manage. if left to them, there are lots of attractions all over the world now. I mean, the youngsters have 100 things to possibly blow their money on. So it's important at that stage to give them a perspective of how to manage their finances, and the importance of creating a long-term financial well-being for themselves.
NSE FinWiz is a financial program organized by the National Stock Exchange of India, one that features the likes of some of the best financial minds who traverse around the country, visiting some of the best organizations, giving their expert advice to employees on wealth management and investments, and further enhancing their understanding of finance.
See, NSE FinWiz is a platform for people to interact, get their queries solved, get over their inertia, address the myths, and make sure that wealth management is rightly understood, and they make sure that they start saving early, which is the most important part.
NSE FinWiz is a fantastic show which educates investors. Not only does it educate, by having these discussions at various campuses, it also helps you learn from other people's questions, other people's mistakes, and other people's experiences, because you have the benefit of maybe somebody in that group who has had varied experiences, and you may not have had that experience yourself.
NSE's role in getting FinWiz to organizations has created areas for young professionals to further update their financial quotient on the whole, covering areas like stock management, taxation, investment portfolio, and product information.
The idea of FinWiz was to spread awareness in such a manner, in a very easy concept, and no jargons, so that they can understand it very well. The idea was to talk about money in a question and answer format. So the audience may have questions and they would like to ask directly to the panel, and the panel would answer the questions. Those questions would help other people as well, because those were very similar questions.
People did not have much knowledge about these financial products. They didn't even think about that. Usually means their salary comes. Sometimes these young people said that our parents only managing our wealth still, or for tax saving we invest in insurance policies, nothing more than that. Hardly people had knowledge about different types of mutual fund. For them, like, mutual fund is also one product, that's it.
NSE FinWiz clears the cloud that hinders most minds from focusing on identifying and completing their financial goals. An upbeat platform of this kind benefits organizations and their professionals by clearing the air about financial management, enabling individuals to opt for better wealth management and invest in different areas, imbibe proper financial skills among young professionals, knowing about available options to consider while investing, create a tense-free money minting future, positively benefits the organization to have more informed employees. NSE FinWiz challenged the odds by enabling employees to be more open to understanding the heavy world of finance, wealth and investment management. Season 1 pioneered a more than positive revolution among organizations as it got the best to come out of their shells and explore new avenues, thus allowing them to make more beneficial long-term decisions, paving the path to a trouble-free future. Starting from Mumbai and travelling across 9 cities in the country and visiting about 20 organizations, the FinWiz team cleared most of the hindrances in the financial atmosphere right up till the last pit stop in Kolkata. The experts that joined the NSE FinWiz brigade featured Uday Dhoot, COO International Money Matters, Pankaj Matpal, CFP and Managing Director Optima Money Managers, Deepak Chhabria, CEO and Director Axiom Financial Services, Firoz Aziz, Director Investment Products Private Wealth Management Anand Rathi Financial Services, Anil Rego, Founder and CEO Right Horizons Financial Services, Gaurav Mashruwala, Financial Planner, Gajendra Kothari, CFA, MD and CEO Etika Wealth Management, Subhash Lakhotia, Tax Expert, Harsh Rungta, CEO ApnaPaisa.com, Lovai Navlakhi, CEO and Founder International Money Matters, Sanjay Tiwari, Vice President Strategy and Product HDFC Life Insurance, Hemant Rustagi, CEO Wise Invest Advisors, Ashish Shankar, Head Investment Advisory Motilal Oswal Private Wealth Management, and Harshvardhan Rungta, CFP Rungta Securities. Each episode targeted a different organization in a different city, and each organization belonged to a completely different sector. This allowed experts to interact with a much more diverse range of employees from different organizations.
Open a fixed deposit account in a good bank, that also is a good thing.
Uday, I'll come back to you where you were talking about goals. So people do set goals, but you know, the only thing that's constant is change. So things change, obviously goals will change. Is there like a benchmark that every 6 months I should monitor my goals and therefore monitor my portfolio, or what's your kind of advice to them?
Yes, like you said, in fact goals do change, but see, there are some part of our goals which change in the margin. It's like today I plan that I want to buy a house worth say 50 lakh rupees. There might be a small change in that. I will not suddenly tomorrow plan that I want to buy a 1 crore house, right? And I'm saying it does not change so much. Major change for us happens in our life when we take some important decisions, like somebody who is employed starts a business, somebody who is in business gets into employment, somebody who is single gets married, somebody who is married becomes a parent. At that point in time, there are very important changes which require us to relook at our goals, but otherwise goals kind of remain constant.
This kind of program helps them to understand their goals, to realize that how inflation can eat their returns. This kind of shows really are very, very helpful, because these are unbiased program where without giving importance to any particular asset class or particular investment scheme, we guide for their betterment to help them achieving their financial goals.
Typically the young professionals would run into a risk of running up some debts, you know, over the credit cards or something, or making unnecessary expenses, not budgeting properly, and not really knowing where to invest the income that comes to them. They do not plan for the future otherwise. But in terms of this very helpful advice that has come their way, they are able to do a kind of a portfolio management, knowing at least in some way what is the risk that rides in certain segments, and to that extent they are very sure of what they are wanting to do.
If you are investing for long term, you know that you can take a little more risk because you have time to achieve that goal. Then definitely you can think about investing in equity. If you are thinking about very short term, you may have less exposure in equity. So that we can decide only once you know that how much time you have to achieve that goal. So goal setting is the most important thing before investing.
Okay. Ashish, building on to that, now given goal setting is really important, but it's such a huge number to set up. How do they start setting a goal for marriage or retirement or kids? You know, it's that big number in front of them. How do we overcome that?
Yeah, so it's so ironical, you know, when you start working, you know, if you tell somebody to start thinking of retirement, you know, it's very ironical. But having said that, I think it's very important for one to understand what one's goals and objectives in life are first. Because, you know, unlike, let's say, Western countries, in India, we don't have a safety net. So one needs to first understand as to what are the expenses that one is going to incur over the next few years of his working life.
In a market filled with changing trends, individuals are extremely wary about managing their own finances, and hence NSE FinWiz enables individuals to become more aware and forthcoming to the entire gamut of financial services available to them by creating a platform for two-way interaction between experts and employees.
It was a brilliant experience in terms of personally for me interacting with youth. In terms of FinWiz helping the gap, yes, because that was obvious from the kind of questions coming, the profile of people who are attending.
At the initial part of your career, you will find that the goals are not very clear. And a lot of it is relatively immediate. You know, you have probably your marriage to think of a few years away. You want to look at your car again, you know, pretty quickly. So how do you go about it? I think the first thing to look at is to look at your tax planning. Okay, so that can you take care of your investments plus also save tax, because then you give yourself that little bit of extra money for the long term. So those can take care of your long term needs. The rest of it I think can be relatively in liquid stuff, which can be even a little bit short term, keeping in mind the needs. And yeah, I think the point is to have some bit of discipline. I think initially saying that I will set aside maybe 20%, 15% of my income, and I will save that. It was very well organized. You found that all the corporates had sufficient people come in. They called in sometimes varied segments of people. They ended up keeping a lot of the youth in there. So I think it was a very well organized show, and it goes a long way in terms of educating the investor.
If I was to pick up investing as a category, I think what you do before investing is probably if not more, at least it is as important as investing itself. Before you even begin investing, you need to make sure that any of the risks that you have to invest, right, you need to make sure that those risks are covered, because any investment plan that you will do can get completely derailed.
Now, when you speak about pitfalls and ground rules, there are quite a few ground rules which need to be taken care of before you start investing. Predominantly, I would like to abbreviate those ground rules so that you can remember them, because as human beings we tend to remember only 1% of what we hear. So I'll abbreviate it for you. I call it the SMART way of investing. So I'll tell you what each alphabet stands for very briefly. Segregate your investments and your other insurance needs. This is the most common mistake when people start investing. So that's called segregating them. If you segregate those investments, you will almost end up saving your first year's premium in the first 5 years of you paying. So segregate your investments. Don't try to meet two objectives with 1 rupee invested. That's the most important thing. The second thing, which is M stands for measuring your risks. People are so focused on return that they forget measuring risks. Because return is going to be dependent on external factor. Risk is the only variable which you can choose to take, right? The return is going to be market dependent. The third point, which is called asset allocation, right? The A stands for asset allocation. People end up spending maximum time on seeing what security to buy, which stock to buy, which mutual fund to buy. Last season of NSE FinWiz was overwhelmingly exciting for me for the fact that you get to give advice and see the response to the advice and see faces who are taking the advice.
Owing to the current state of financial literacy, NSE FinWiz stepped in with its panel of experts, providing insights on different areas of managing valuable resources and conversing with employees from a variety of organizations across the length and breadth of the country, thus filling the ever-growing knowledge gap. Traversing across the country, Season 1 of NSE FinWiz featured a variety of companies like Tata Motors, Niti, L&T, Seva, Symbiosis International University and Zensa Technologies in the West, Indian Oil Corporation, PVR Cinemas, Snapdeal.com, Wellspun, Sona Group and HCL in the North, Berger Paints, Coal India and Century Ply in the East, and Omega Healthcare, TeleDNA, Infosys, Titan and Sesa Sterlite in the South. Aimed primarily at corporate India, NSE FinWiz for the most part worked towards benefiting the young workforce by making them more financially alert. Given the circumstances that the financial world is filled with heavy jargons and complex processes, NSE FinWiz eased out the entire process as experts also shed light on the rights and wrongdoings that people often do while trying to manage their resources.
While managing resources, the simple thing is that first just decide what are your goals. Why are you earning money in the first place? Obviously you would have some goals and requirements in mind, and make the priorities list and then start investing as per your goal.
How do I start a good financial plan? You can't just save and say I have no goals, no plan, no idea. I have to look at, okay, what am I saving for? So the first and the foremost important thing is, what are your goals? Putting your goals and writing them down is the most important thing that you can do for your financial plan. So I want to go for my postgraduate 3 years down the line. I will need say 2 lakh rupees for that. I want to buy a car 5 years down the line. I need 7 lakh rupees for that. I want to buy a house 6 years, 7 years down the line. I need 20 lakh rupees for that. Putting those goals down, putting a value against those goals. That is the most important step that you can take to make a financial plan.
The importance of investing early. Why should these guys in their first few jobs, why should they start, planning now? Why not wait another 5 years and do it then? Why not just...
It can never be, emphasized more and more when we talk about, how to start investing and why investing early is very, very important. Investing early forms a very critical, piece for the entire financial planning we need to do for our lives. And we have seen the power of compounding, the way you invest over a period of time, what kind of returns you generate if you start investing early. I will not really inundate with you some numbers or examples, but a very fact that if you start, say, putting around, say, 2,000 or 1,000 rupees per month at the age of 25, and the kind of money you get at the time of, say, 50 or 55, will differentiate vastly when you compare by investing, say, I start investing at the age of 35 or 40.
When you are trying to impart knowledge of wealth, ironically again, in the country there is very little known about financial instruments. When it comes to other two assets, which are real estate and gold, there is an affinity amongst our fellow country mates. But understanding with equity is very low. If to increase the understanding, I think you will have to come over the inertia which a person has when he is trying to learn more. So just like FinWiz does, it goes to people to teach them, because there is very little likelihood that somebody proactively will come to learn. So I think that's the biggest way you can impart awareness.
With experts trying to garner a sense of financial understanding, the employees became more conscious about the financial world.
They are doing this for smart people, for online tech-savvy people.
This was seen through the Q&A session, where employees brought forward their concerns that in the first place added to their fears of managing their resources.
How do you actually prioritize and do whatever you want to do with that limited income and still ensure that everything is in place?
Yeah, so the way you look at it, I'll just give you a kind of checklist as to how you prioritize and how you move ahead, and obviously then each individual would have that. The first thing that you want to do always is create a contingency fund. So ensure that whatever is your monthly expenses, if you're tracking, and if you're not, start tracking, keep aside about 3 months mandatory reserve. In case of job loss, for whatever reason, it could be your performance, it could be economic condition, it could be catastrophe, you have enough funds to last you for about 90 days. So that's the first thing that you do. After that, look at health cover. Now either it could be employer who's covering, or if you have it on your own.
Most of these young people had queries, they were just about to go for a home loan, or they were just about to put big money in insurance plan or an investment plan, which they had no clue about it. So it was the right platform for them to come and interact with experts and get a first-hand information on their finances.
Life insurance, the private sector, life insurance companies, they do say that, they invest our money in debts. So what do they exactly mean by that?
In insurance products, you have broadly two kinds of plans. Okay, you have the traditional plans and you have the market-linked plans. The traditional plan is what you're referring to, I presume, because those are plans which do not necessarily disclose the underlying portfolio, but they typically end up investing in debt instruments, and they give out guaranteed bonuses depending on what the scheme has done. Ideally, you should look at insurance as just a cover, which means that if you're the breadwinner of the family and God forbid you're not around tomorrow, then the amount that your family inherits should be enough to cover their expenses.
Most of the education happening today with, for example, by media, is more written and a monologue. It's never a dialogue. FinWiz is actually taking communication to the next level and actually having interaction.
Why it being a horrible mistake when you sell out your stocks or shares during a down market, or should we wait for the market to recover?
Whenever I am reviewing my portfolio, what I need to look at is the stock that I buy. Is it a good stock, or for that money can I get a better stock? So irrespective of whether I am in a market which is high or whether it is low, they say basically you can kind of time the market and figure out when to enter, when to. But that is a pure myth. Nobody knows when the markets will go up. Nobody knows when the markets will go down. Frankly, if we could do that, we both won't be sitting here. We would be just minting money every day, every second.
Actually, the panel discussion really helped me a lot because at the beginning of my career, I was clueless about where to invest and what I need to do for regarding all the savings and investments. But then this discussion has helped me because now I am aware where I'm supposed to invest my money.
It really helped me to overcome my fear in investing.
Earlier I was only looking towards secure deposit, but nowadays I am looking towards other plans, other investment plans as well.
Keeping the potential of the youth in mind, NSE FinWiz aspires to direct the working youth towards a secure and robust financial culture. This being said, it opens avenues for the workforce to challenge the financial market and to take on wealth management and investments onto another level. Thus, in the long term, live a profitable and secured lifestyle.
NSE FinWiz is an excellent program for learning for everybody, for the audience as well as for the experts. It is an interactive session which helps to understand the importance of the clients and as well as that what kind of things should be taken care while you are advising to your investors, to your clients, to help them achieve their financial goals.
What is FinWiz to me? It is one of the most robust communication mechanism which is one-on-one. Right? Any other communication, any other form of engagement with your audience is futile, but a one-on-one communication, which is exactly what FinWiz ends up doing.
The experience, of course, was very good. Our employees, especially our young employees who were part of the program, loved the initiative. I think they get like limited information from their regular sources, which are their parents, or sometimes they would speak to somebody in finance. But here they got this sort of one-to-one, sort of face-to-face interaction with a couple of experts who came down.
Earlier, I used to basically look forward to my parents to basically, do my investment. That where should I invest upon? What should I do with my money? How to save? That was the initial questions. That how to save my money. If these kind of sessions basically, teach you a lot, being the young employees, who are basically, into job like from past 2-3 years. It's a very, wonderful experience for them, because they like from the initial, since the very beginning, to get to know after that, how to basically plan their investment and their monetary management.
Program was very informative for me. Like I'm a new, just started working and I'm not very good at investments, so it was very informative. Until today I was only, saving in fixed deposits, but now the information which I've gathered here is definitely going to help me improve my financial portfolio.
Knowledge sharing initiatives are always useful, but when it comes to with an agenda of investment, it becomes really essential, it becomes really effective.
NSE FinWiz completed its first round of visiting companies across the country. And now with employees and their employers keen on gaining more financial insights from some of the best experts, NSE FinWiz will return with its second season only on CNBC TV 18.